Yo, what is going on, guys? Got Hikertoad here, bringing you week 7 of the CPC, and this week we are going up against Techno, coach of the Carolina Pantherians. Very excited for this battle, as Techno is a very good player, and we actually haven't had a serious match ever, as well as he is actually the reigning champ, so definitely has proved himself in this league, so definitely going to be a good battle, as well as he has a pretty scary roster that definitely was not easy to prep for. So I'll just get right into his roster, as he does have the Landers-I, Tapu Fini, Ferrothorn, Latios, Gigalith, Chandelure, Xurkitree, Skuntank, and the Mega Glalie. So things to note, the Landers-I is Sheer Force, so that's allowed, so that's a thing. But I actually did try and order his Mons in what I thought was more likely to sort of come, just based on matchup and based on Tech himself, as I did do a bit of scouting prior to this match. But yeah, Landers is just a huge threat. Sheer Force is like, it pretty much 2-hit KOs everything in the game with the proper predictions. Like, I don't really have a good switch into Earth Power, because Tornadus T can just get blown back by a Rock Slide, or even like 2-hit KO'd by like a Sludge Wave or HP Ice if I'm not Assault Vested or like really Split F invested. And Tapu Fini is just really good because it can take hits from multiple things, and like he really needs it to like help check like Darmanitan and Persian, and like helps potentially keep away the rocks, although I think Latios can potentially be a defogger as well this match, but which I think is also likely to come just due to its ability to check certain mons like Nidoqueen, Starmie, and like be able to outspeed stuff like Galvantula and get off a quick defog if needed. And like it's not really taunt bait for stuff like Goldfish or whatever, because I do have a lot of taunt or potential taunt users. I think Ferrothorn's pretty likely, just because it can be annoying to Starmie. It can potentially check the Mega Mawile depending on my set, and like it can get up hazards and like just sort of just be annoying. It's not really easy. It's not necessarily easy for me to kill depending on if I don't bring the right coverage, and just and hazards like rocks are just really annoying versus me. Like mainly rocks are just really annoying to my Tornadus and Darmanitan combo, which I am bringing this match. Gigalith I think actually has a pretty decent matchup, as it can check the Tornadus and the Darmanitan. But mostly, what I noticed is, so this is the 7th week of CPC, and Gigalith isn't a mon that you would really expect to bring that often for like most people, but Techno has brought Gigalith all 6 weeks prior to this, so I think that he really likes Gigalith, and that he's sort of like going to bring it just because he's gotten into that sort of rhythm of bringing it every week. So I don't think he's going to change it this week when it doesn't, like I don't think he's going to change it when it doesn't have a terrible matchup. Like it has a decent matchup here, so I definitely think that it can be something that will come. Chandelure and Xurkitree together are just absolute menaces versus my team. I don't have switch-ins to respect Chandelure. I don't have switch-ins to respect Xurkitree. I don't have a switch-in to a Z Xurkitree. I don't even really have a good switch-in to a regular Chandelure. So I'm definitely expecting some sort of Choice Scarf Chandelure if he does wish to bring that, which is definitely very annoying for me to deal with. And Xurkitree can be could be Z Hypnosis, Z Electric Terrain, could be like Z Energy Ball for my Piloswine. It can just be a multitude of things, as well as like Scarf if he doesn't bring Scarf Chandelure, so it's just really annoying to deal with. Skuntank is decent. It's not really the best. Doesn't really like it. Don't like if it's like it can check Starmie, but like that's the most I can really see it doing. Like it doesn't really deal with my team that well, I think, but it can potentially check Starmie with like Sucker Punch, Pursuit Mind Games, or if it's just like Assault Vest, it can pretty much lose nothing by going for Pursuit. And I don't think Mega Glalie is really that good this matchup, as it really struggles to sort of wall break me and can just give me switch-ins into stuff. It can give me free opportunities with Mega Mawile and Darmanitan, which he really doesn't enjoy switching into, especially if his team is weakened like late game. And like while Spike Stack could potentially be good against me with the rocks, hazard stack. I definitely think that because his 2 removers are defoggers, I think that he's going to be more focused on keeping hazards off of his side of the field rather than stacking me, because if I could get like stealth rocks, sticky webs, spikes, like that could really just add up and really ruin stuff like circuitry and chandelure, like with the webs, and the hazards just really wear him down. So I don't think he's going to take that approach versus me. So I think that is how so that's just a little bit on his team. But yeah, I have this sub 3 attacks Mega Mawile. Basically it's to set up on the Ferrothorn. Bulldoze has a very low chance of breaking it if it's not invested. Fire Fang, Knockoff, and Play Rough pretty much hits everything for either neutral or super effective damage. The worst thing about this set is probably that, like, one Infiltrator Chandelure does deal with this if you like, but I do expect Flash Fire to help check the Dire Manitan further if he does bring that. And then not having Iron Head could potentially be annoying because I can miss, as well as I lose damage on the Gigalith, which I do think will come, but I think that I can deal with it in other ways. And yeah, EV's just pretty simple, like just defensive to help take Bulldoze so sub isn't broken. Next up I have the Tornadus T with the Charity Berry for the Landorus's Rock Slide, as well as a Stone Edge from the Gigalith. That's pretty much it. But Taunt to help prevent hazards as well as prevent potential defog, as I am bringing the hazard stack this week, as I think it is pretty good against him. As like I said, all 3 of his removers are defoggers, so I definitely I can taunt all 3 of those and pretty much no worry. Knockoff is to prevent the Tabu Fini and Gigalith from recovering with leftovers. Hurricane just for general stab, and U-turn to U-turn out on stuff like Gigalith and like prevent him from potentially doubling or whatever. So next up I have my Just Choice Scarfed Manitan to help check a +1 circuitry, whether it be Scarfed or whether it be like Z Hypnosis or Z Electric Terrain. It can outspeed the Landorus-I unless it has a Rock Polish up, and this is a pretty good win con late game once his team is weakened, as I can potentially sweep with Flare Blitz, Rock Slide, or Earthquake. Earthquake if the Landorus is gone and Tapu Fini is weakened, as well as Latias. Rock Slide if like Latias is weakened, Tapu Fini is weak. Just like if his team is just weakened by hazards, it can really put in some work. U-turn probably won't be clicked that much, as I don't think I'll be sending this in early game. Like, although if I do send this in early game, I'll probably click U-turn to U-turn out on an expected Gigalith or Tapu Fini. So next up I do have the Alolan Persian. This helps me check the Landorus Incarnate, as well as the Latias, as well as can prevent hazards from stuff like the Ferrothorn and Gigalith, as I really don't want hazards up this game, as you already see I had the taunt on Tornadus. Protect is just to scout for Scarfers to see what they might lock themselves into, like the Chandelure, as well as just get leftovers recovery to potentially not get like Twit KO'd or OHKO'd by Fire Blast, because I'm not really sure how much it does. I think I can live like at least 1, but I think it does a lot, since like 65 isn't really that bulky for a defensive mon, especially when they're trying to take a Fire Blast from a Chandelure, which is pretty strong. So yeah, just a nice pivoting option, and it can really help me get into Mega Mawile, as Mega Mawile can set a sub up on Tabu Fini if it is -1, which is really cool. So next up I have Piloswine with the rocks. Basically, Landorus is just a huge threat, so I really needed another check to that besides Scarfed or Manitan, so I can check it if it, let's say, like Rock Polishes up, as that's extremely threatening, as Mawile dies to Earth Power, Earth Power, Earth Power, Earth Power, Rock Slide if I'm like weakened or whatever, and just like obviously like, oh yeah, Focus Blast does like a lot to this, and so definitely Ice Shard is definitely useful. The Spadef I think is to just help take on Landorus, as like focus, like in case he's like Calm Mind, because he could potentially be like maybe Dual Dance, although I don't think that's very likely, as I don't think there's 2 coverage moves that like hit everything on my entire roster. Like even like this team, like Earth Power Focus Blast doesn't hit Torn, and like Earth Power plus there's no coverage that hits both Torn and Piloswine on the top of my head. So yeah, and yeah, pretty much just that. And I put the rest into attack to do more damage to his team. And lastly, I do have the Quillfish with the Taunt, Spikes, Waterfall, and Poison Jab Taunt. Like I said, I really want him to not be able to defog the hazards away. I can taunt an incoming Lottie if that is defog, which is really nice, as I can prevent that from defog, and that could potentially be a first switch into the Mega Mawile. I can't really touch that besides like Hidden Power. I really needed this for a check for Tapu Fini, as Tapu Fini really just annoys the rest of my team, and so if I don't like. And so that's what I need to be able to clean late game with Darm, for Tapu Fini to be either gone or weakened. So definitely a important thing there. Yeah, and Intimidate is just really nice versus his team. Also, the Spadef is mostly just, like I said, to help with versus Scarf Chandelure, as like Specs just 2 kills everything. So I definitely want to just not get swept by Scarf. This definitely is going to be a close game, as I just don't have switch-ins for anything on his team, and he doesn't really have switch-ins for Mawile. So definitely going to be who can use their wall breakers better, in my opinion. So with that, I will be right back with the battle. Yo, what is going on, my little tadpoles? Got Hikertoad here, and I'm bringing you back CPC. If you are just skipping to this part now, hi, hope you're having a good day. But let's look at the team that Techno decided to bring against me, as he has the Landorus Incarnate, the Gigalith, the Xurkitree, the Latios, Tapu Fini, and Skuntank. Well, I do have the sub 3 attacks Mega Mawile, the Chartiberry, top 3 attacks Torn, the Choice Scarf 4 attacks Darm, the just pivoting Alolan Persian to help check stuff like Landorus and the Gigalith and Latios. Piloswine, just to help check the Landorus, as well as just rocks plus dual stab plus the priority. And then Quillfish is hazards with taunt and dual stab with Spadef to help take on Scarf Chandelure, which did not come, which is definitely very surprising. Actually brought a different team from what I sort of expected. Did not expect the Skuntank to be brought, but definitely kind of makes sense to help check the potential Starmie, as well as if he didn't want to run defog on the Tapu Fini or the Latios. So with that in mind, potential leads that I could lead with. Okay, wait, that was okay. So Xurkitree is a pretty scary lead if I do want to lead with the Tornadus, as Tornadus is a pretty common lead and definitely something that I've led with before in the past if he has done some scouting. And so definitely something like the Gigalith or Xurkitree could be annoying. So in that instance, Piloswine could potentially be good. But I don't want Piloswine to take big damage early on, just because of how well it matches up versus his team, as it can beat the Landorus, beat the Gigalith, beat the Xurkitree depending on its set, beat the Latios, and beat the Skuntank. So it beats the majority of his team if he is unable to wear it down. So because of this, I am actually going to lead off with my Mawile and try to get some early damage, as he does lead with his Xurkitree. And so I don't expect... So right here, I don't expect him to go for like the Energy Ball or anything or any of that. I expect him to either Volt Switch out or Hard Switch out. I don't think he's going to be the Electrium Z with the Thunderbolt. I just don't think that it is the most optimal bring for a breaking set in Xurkitree. So I'm just going to go ahead and fire off the Play Rough turn 1, as he does go for the sub, potentially predicting my switch out into Piloswine, not wanting to take damage with my Mega Mawile, but I just want to break something early game, as he's just going to go into his Tapu Fini, as I'm going to fire off another Play Rough, as that does a lot. And I think that's like Fizz Def Fini as well, and that just does over half, which is absolutely amazing. So the Latios is actually pretty annoying if I do allow this to be weakened, and so I don't think there's any real reason for me to stay in at this point, as I do have a very safe switch in to the Tapu Fini with the Quillfish, so I'm just going to go into that, as he's just going to fire off the Surf. And now, so pretty much he's either going to do 2 things, I think, or maybe more, but mainly the top 2 I'm thinking of. He's either going to Nature's Madness and just try and get chip off on the Quillfish, which I don't think is really needed, because pretty much everything else on his team can beat Quillfish, so I don't think that's his most optimal play. Or he potentially goes into the Latias to just take anything that I might want to go for. Thunderwave is never the play here. I don't have any reason to go for that. If anything, I'd probably just go for the Poison Jab. I was expecting that. Like, I don't really gain anything. Like, it's an unnecessary play, and I'm already sort of in the lead, so I don't really need to make that. So I could spike up, see potentially if he wants to go into Hazard Setter or whatever. But I'm just going to double into my Mega Mawile, expecting him to go into the Latias, as he does double into the Gigalith. So my thought process behind that play, even if he Nature's Madness there, or went for the Surf again, which I don't think he would have ever done, but in case he did do that, the next Surf wouldn't have killed, regardless of whether he went for Surf or Nature's Madness. So I could have then taken another hit and fire off a play rough and just have a double down with Mega Mawile for Tapu Fini, which I definitely think in my book is worth it, as Piloswine beats everything else, and that just opens the door for Darmanitan, which is really nice. As well as Alone Persian is just, its job is made way easier now, as it can actually like threaten stuff, as it can't really do much to Tapu Fini. So he's going to go into his Gigalith. I'm just going to fire off the play rough here, as he does just sack off his Tapu Fini. I don't have the Iron Head, but like I didn't lose anything by just going for the play rough. Like I got like a solid like half off on him around, I think. Even if he was like Fizz Def, it maybe did like 40. And so that damage was definitely worth it if he did stay in, as like I said, I do need it weakened for my Darmanitan, and if I do weaken that as well, since the Tapu Fini's already weakened, that's just really good for me. So he is going to switch out as well, fearing the potential Iron Head, which I definitely could have had. It's definitely something that I did consider this matchup, so yeah, I'm just going to switch out and preserve this, as it's still useful for stuff like Latias and Gigalith, as well as the Skuntank if he's not like Fire Blast with like a lot of investment or whatever, because I'm still out of range of that, I think. As he U-turns and makes a nice play, but he does reveal a bit about his set, as he appears to be no investment with his no attack investment. He appears to be something like naive or like something like that, and so I'm definitely considering the option of him being Scarf now, as he isn't really fully physically invested. So that's definitely something that I did consider there. But I'm just going to taunt here, as I can leave a Stone Edge, and I expect him to go for Rocks, and if he goes for Rocks, then that just loses me a lot. So I'm just going to do that, as I'm just going to go for the U-turn on the following turn in case he wants to switch out, as I do think he'll just go for the Stone Edge now, as he actually reveals the Rock Blast, which is really interesting prep, which actually does potentially OHKO the Tornadus, as like I didn't really anticipate that, as I think he's actually Stone Edge most weeks, if not all. I didn't really pay attention to that, but basically the first hit is affected by Charity, but then the rest of the hits are normal hits, and so I'll probably die if he gets a good amount of hits, or even potentially just like 3 or whatever, depending on how much investment he has. So definitely very good prep on his part, and definitely almost really risky on the previous turn. So on this turn now, I'm just going to Flower Play and get some damage off on this. I don't think he has a reason to switch out. He doesn't really have anything he wants to switch into this. As right here, I'm just going to make an obvious play and go for the taunt. I didn't want him to get Rocks up. I thought that was a possible play, but he does make a good play and go into Landorus, as I don't really lose anything by playing safe, but because I'm playing safe, I am losing some momentum right now, as I do protect. I want to try and see if he's Scarfed or not. I want to see if he's locking himself into a move right now, as he does go for the Earth Power. I could have potentially stayed in right here, but I'm just going to once again make the safe play into my Tornadus, as I don't lose anything by that. He can't OHKO me, and it's just, at this point, I don't have to make plays at this point of the game. So just by playing safe and trying to weaken his fire resists, I can potentially do good. As unfortunately, he does miss the Rock Blast, which would have done about like 30 to the Piloswine, which is really annoying because he doesn't really have much for this. As he does miss the Toxic, which is just huge because I have a Piloswine at full health, Well, his Gigalith is literally just almost dead now, which is just absolutely terrible. I'm sorry for that, Tech. But, yeah, he's just going to go into his Latias right here, as he's going to go for the as I'm going to go for the Earthquake. As now I feel like I can just go into Mawile right here. I don't think he's going to mess around versus Piloswine, as he actually just goes for the Healing Wish to heal back up his Gigalith, which is really good prep to, like, if like Finny got worn down and like he's kept it, then it could have been really good. As he does go for the rocks, so they just go for the knockoff because I don't really want to miss and I want guaranteed damage off on this, as well as I want its leftovers gone. So now I'm just going to go for the play rough. Let's just get some good damage off, as unfortunately I do miss my play rough, as that definitely would have just blown back the Skuntank. But it's little justice for the Piloswine hacks earlier, as he's actually going to miss the Fire Blast right here. I don't know how much investment he was on this Skuntank, but I think depending on it, he could have potentially killed me. I don't know, it might have been a roll or something, because I saw with no investment, I think I did live. As I think this is just Scarfed at this point, so I'm just going to sack this off and see what he wants to go for. If he over-predicts, then I just get a kill, so I don't really lose anything by sacking that right there, and Piloswine just gets a free kill at this point. As he's just going to sack off the Gigalith, as he doesn't need it anymore. It doesn't do anything for him. Like he has to kind of hope that I choke at this point, and sack Torn for whatever reason can somehow sweep with the Lando, but still I think. But this game is definitely pretty much over, as he does go for the sub, hoping that I try and like choke in, like, so he can potentially get some like maybe more differential or whatever. As even if he is the Z Hypnosis or Z Electric Terrain, I can just revenge it with the Choice Scarf Darmanitan, and if he's Scarfed the Lando, then I can just revenge it with the Tornadus. As I could potentially went for the Icicle Spear there to potentially save differential, as I didn't think he'd actually sub, which I definitely should have considered, because if I Icicle Speared, then I could have potentially got multiple hits, like maybe 5 or whatever, and maybe took him out with the Ice Shard. But yeah, it doesn't really matter, as I can, like I just said, revenge this with Darmanitan. This is just going to die, and if the Landorus is not Scarfed, it's going to die, or at least just, if it doesn't die, it's just going to, like, it's going to die, and even if he, like, Rock Polishes here, he still can't win, as my Tornadus will live a hit from it, because I do have the Chariberry intact, and he's most likely Sheer Force, so he can't even flinch me, so he'd have to, like, crit me. As yeah, he does reveal to be Scar, so I'm just going to finish off the game with a Quillfish, and this is going to be a 3-0 win for us. So GG to Techno, pretty close game at the end. Yeah, it definitely was a good game. I don't think the hacks really influenced it too much, but it definitely was really annoying for you, as it really evened out with the Skuntank and Mega Mawile exchange. So yeah, but now we are 5-2 plus 12, I think. So looking very good to potentially make playoffs. Chances are, like, if like with I think 2 more wins locks us, and with 1 potentially locking us, depending on how other games go. But definitely just want to try and keep on winning the rest of the season. We got 3 weeks left versus Jake. No, not Jake. Versus Will, Jake, and then Rise Pool, our last 3 weeks. So definitely look forward to that. GG to Techno, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.